My topic for today is, as you can see, cultural differences, which we discussed yesterday in retrospective. That made me to choose a topic because yesterday we time boxed the thing because it was a retrospective. I thought maybe you can spend some time on it today. Basically, the way how we find the differences between culture is that the way people look at things, the way people dress in different regions, the way how they expose their personality, how is their character. My father used to give me a very good example, which I consider like consider a team which goes till the finals but loses it in the end. They say the Indians would say that at least made it to the finals, but the foreigners would say, why then did he win it when he went till the finals? This is the best example which I could think for a cultural difference. I thought you can divide the study into two cases where cultural differences which exist in the Western world and cultural differences between Western and the Eastern world. By Western world, I mean the differences between US and Europe. There's a difference in even the smallest thing like an handshake. The US considers short handshake to be a sign of confidence, but in Africa, the general handshake is a limp and a long one. But in US, if you make a long handshake, they consider that to be exposing your sexual attraction or something. I'm not, all these details I got it from the net, so I'm not sure. But maybe at the end you can clarify me if I'm wrong in this. And there is one notion that Britain people don't look at women on the street, but French people do. A classic example, a French president looking at women. Another cultural difference is the nature, how people consider work. There are monochronic people and polychronic people. Monochronic people, they concentrate on one work at a time, but polychronic, they concentrate on more than one work at a time. Like Germans are monochronic and all these from the net. Germans are monochronic and French and English people are polychronic. The next is how people view time and distance. For example, Americans consider like a 100-year-old building to be old buildings, but Europeans consider maybe an ancient building to be a 1,000-year, just very far away, like 1,000-year building. But distances, 100 kilometer may be a short distance for Europeans, maybe a long distance for Europeans, and it is a very short distance for US. And also the mode of transportation which US use. Generally, US consider size to be more, size matters for the US people. So their cars are big. But in in Europe, the streets are very narrow and they prefer a smaller mode of smaller vehicles. And in England, I think someone should confirm this. In England, there are a lot of crossings. We have only pedestrian crossing in Asia, but they have tiger crossing, token crossing, pelican crossing, and Pegasus crossing. You should confirm that.
Yeah, there's a new one near my house as well.
More is enough, I feel. And next, about the religion. Basically, in every difference, you can't generalize a nation based on a few people because a nation consists of 1 million people. But based on a general notion, they say that Americans are more religious than the Europeans. Coming to the sports, just consider US and Europe. They're not so far away, but the sports which they follow are very much different. US follow mainly baseball and basketball, but Europeans, they mainly follow soccer. And maybe some people follow tennis. So the majority game which they follow differs from the two countries which are not separated much. And it is a saying that US people love junk food and they rarely cook food. They almost generally go for outside food. But Europeans, they prefer traditional food and they say that each town in Europe, they have their own traditional food. So food which is famous in one area may not be famous in an area which is 10 or 100 kilometers away. And these are some of the days which exist in US. Like US follows some days like Baby Shower, Bachelor Night, and Thanksgiving Day, but there's no such day in UK. But UK follows Europe Day and Labor Day, which US does not follow. And what the view of life of Europe and Asia, the Americans. What Americans consider to be a dream is they should have a well-settled life, big house, their version of a big car, and a family. But what Europe consider valuable is how much you achieve in your social life, how much you educate, how much you go on in your career. And next coming, we have talked a lot about US and Asia. US and Europe. Next coming to the eastern part of the world. It's called eye contact versus low context. Eye contact communication refers to that when communicating, they consider some basic knowledge to be inborn with you. Low context is that where communication is always explicit. They speak out everything. And vast difference between the West and the Eastern is the relationships which exist in the Western and Eastern world. In Western world, it's, children are not with the family till the end. But in Eastern world, it's almost like children stay with the family almost till the end. And openness. Jonathan has a lot of experience in this, like, no problem, sir. In Eastern world, they never say out what they feel in their mind. They don't have their openness. They have something in their mind, but they don't exhibit what they have in their mind. Like, they don't want to give a negative thing so that the other person might not take it rightly. This is an example. Like, consider a Canadian worker who's going to Kuwait and he's working. Canadian people are monochronic people, but and Kuwait people are polychronic people. Like, they concentrate more than one work at a time. So when he's in a meeting, if he's interrupted by call, he may not be able to work with it. This is a very classic example. Like, you have a British singer, Dave Berry. He went to Japan once. It was like he had an interaction with the airport clerk there. He said, "I wanted to book a ticket." The clerk said, "Sorry, sir, that." Okay, take this test. Count the number of F's. You have just 10 seconds. The last two slides. Are you able to count the slide, or shall I read on the last slide? No. Okay.